We are now live. Hey everyone. Let me double check on my phone that we're indeed live. But I'm Theo Kelleher, the founder of Alpha Female Sisterhood, and I'm here with Adina Silvestri, our summer camp counselor is what I call her. But Adina, please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Adina, and I am a therapist, a hypnotherapist, a podcast host,
Please introduce yourself.
all of the above. And I'm here today to talk about hypnotherapy.
Yeah, today we're going to talk about hypnotherapy. So hopefully you guys can, I know several of you said that you have some questions and you want to talk about it. I have some questions myself. I'm really interested. So I thought what was really cool with you, Adina, is your clinical, like you do clinical style therapy with all kinds of condition, but the hypnotherapy is not really common. It's not commonly in the toolbox of a therapist, right?
It's not in a toolbox of a therapist. Correct. Yeah, it's very somatic. It's very body based. And there's a lot of woo-woo language in it. But
Right?
it's probably one of the best things I've ever learned in my entire career as far as helping clients.
How did you get into it?
So I specialize in working with women with addiction, and that's any type of addiction. And so I was finding that it was hard to number one, keep a client that's struggling with addiction because it hijacks your brain, essentially. And so I needed something that was, instead of taking me a year or a couple of years, because retention isn't that great, I needed something that was short, that could help in 3 to 6 sessions versus 6 to 12 months or longer. And so we're able to get to the root cause of the issue in a very short amount of time by accessing the subconscious. And so that's why hypnosis was so interesting to me and initially.
So, like, imagine that I don't know anything other than hypnosis.
Yeah.
So what in movies and pop culture and stuff. So what is really, how would you describe hypnotherapy or hypnosis as a form of healing?
So hypnosis is you are not going to lose control. You're not going to quack like a duck when we're done. You're not going to see everyone as beautiful as, what is that one movie? Hale.
Oh yeah,
Something
yeah.
Hale.
Hale. Oh, like Gwyneth Paltrow and Jack Black.
Yes, I love that movie. And he essentially gets hypnotized.
Like Tony.
Yeah, and so so there's a lot of misconceptions about hypnotherapy, but it helps with everything from smoking to alcohol abuse to eating disorders to pain management to trauma histories. And so it's actually been a valid treatment since the 1960s.
So is it kind of reprogramming or reconditioning your subconscious mind? Is that what it is? And then you kind of like...
Basically, you're reprogramming your mind. You're given these positive suggestions under hypnosis, and then you take those suggestions, you take a script basically that I create for you, and we create it together actually. And then at post-hypnotic suggestion time, that's essentially when the work happens, where the suggestions sort of take root. And so basically, it will not help you if you don't listen to the script. But the cool thing about hypnosis is you don't need me. After you learn how to self-hypnose, we're done.
That's pretty cool. So it's kind of what similar to what I do about you've worked with me before. So like
Mm-hmm.
that visualization or journey, it's not a structure, but kind of I teach people how to kind of get to that state to connect and kind of get inspiration and get clarity themselves. So it's almost like you do it together, but then eventually like you know how to do it now. So now you could it could work. I mean, you could just
Mm-hmm.
practice it on your own.
Yeah, exactly.
So have you gotten hypnotherapy and worked for you?
Yeah, so part of the training was that I had to go under hypnosis for like 2 months. And then I had to have a certain number of credits. So I was hypnotizing everybody, my mother, my
Yeah.
friends, colleagues, and they were totally down with it. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah. What did
Hmm.
you, I mean, I don't know if you want to share, but like what were you able to like ship? Was it a last? So what I want to know is how lasting of this work and like what did you personally experience shifting that made an improvement yourself?
Because we were learning techniques in this sort of vacuum, there wasn't anything treatment like about it. It was just me experiencing what my clients were going to experience
Mhm.
um, every step of the way. And so I wasn't actually receiving treatment that I would be giving to a client. But I felt the bodily sensations. I mean, it was a very visceral experience. Um, when I access really painful emotions, and it was really cool to see that, to know that these traumatic experiences are really housed in our body, is one thing, but then to actually be able to experience it is a totally different thing.
Mhm. What are some of the like cool results that your clients experience without you like jeopardizing your privacy?
Yeah, so I can't go into details, obviously, but I mean, if we're focusing our energy on, say, someone with an addiction, or helping somebody to stop the cycle of binging and purging that they've had for 20 years. We're looking at, why the pain. And so you're able to get to the root cause of the trauma, whether that's maybe dad emasculated you, or, you had some trauma that was repressed, which is more common than people, I think, realize. So that stuff starts to come out. Um, and so once that's out, then the real healing can begin, because then you're not numbing with these substances or food or
Or patterns or
patterns or the wrong men or
yeah.
the belief that I'm not good enough. Yeah. So a lot of that's come out. Just being able to get there in 1 to 2 sessions has just blown me away.
Yeah, part of the reason that I did shamanic healing with soul retrieval and kind of got into this work was even though it wasn't hypnotherapy, I feel like there's a little bit of similarity there, but I experienced this profound healing of my childhood trauma that I've been carrying for like 30 some years. And I did 3 different sessions, kind of same thing, but like each time I was doing different thing because it was more kind of journey-esque energy healing and soul retrieval. But 3 sessions of shamanic healing, and then it just no longer I had it with me. You know what I mean? Like
That's
it's
so
just
cool.
yeah, that complete freedom, and it was just one of the most incredible experience that like it's something I've been carrying about for 30 plus years, and then like it's just like I could sense that it was not with me, and then like
Wow.
I would have known that sometimes there would be mention of my parents, well, and then I will have this physical response, and I'll like shut down. I'll shut down, and you'll know, like I'm sure your patients
Hmm.
will. And then ever since then, you could just talk about it. I could talk about my childhood trauma, and I'll just be able to talk about it.
You were just, yeah, it's
Yeah,
just like, oh yeah, that thing happened, versus,
yeah. I mean, of
having
course,
this
it's so
physical.
painful, but it didn't. I didn't have these like sensations, so I could understand how powerful that will be for your patient when they experience that kind of relief or freedom
Yeah.
Or a few sessions of hypnotherapy. So Sarah Jane actually had a question. She's like, I have a question. So I don't know if she's watching. And you guys, we're answering questions. So please go ahead and enter your by comment any questions you have. And you could even ask questions about just general therapy because although we're talking about hypnotherapy, because I'm super interested in learning, but Adina can also discuss just in general anything. But here's a question. So, and Sarah, if you are here, like maybe Adina may have a follow-up question. So do comment and say if you're watching this. Sarah said every time, so I'll just read it. She said, every time I've tried to be hypnotized, I don't seem to get fully into that state, i.e. whatever their signal is, my hand relaxing and dropping, my hands being pulled together by magnets, etc. It doesn't work. Is it still working even though I'm not responding to these suggestions, like physical suggestions?
Yeah, that's interesting. So when I was doing a lot of the exercises, I guess you would call them, in my classes, a lot of us weren't having those reactions. You know, like when there'd be a hypnotic suggestion to like raise your arms. You know, a room full of like 100 therapists had arm raised, and like me and a couple other people were like, nope, it's not happening. But this hypnotic suggestion happens. It's when the post hypnotic suggestion occurs is when the change happens. And so even if you're not doing the action in real time, it still is helpful.
So this post hypnotic suggestion, like what? So is it kind of a discussion after the session, like after whatever hypnotic happened? Like you guys have a conversation? Is that what you're talking about? Or
So
can you like walk through the process? Like I book a session, I show up in your office, or we do a Zoom session. We sit down, do a little hello, how are you doing, whatever, and then like, what happened?
So it's going to be different for everybody. Do you want me to talk about like the hypnotic suggestion point, or?
I mean, that's kind of for me to know. Let's say, I'm really curious about this, but then I'm still like nervous about trying it, or like some people want to know what it's like. You know, I go in, there will be some conversation. So what I tell my clients when they say, what do you like? What is a shamanic wisdom session? What do we do? And it's different for every person, but I try to say, hey, usually you come, it's different for everyone, and we won't know until we start working together. But usually there's a conversation in the beginning to identify what we want to work on. And then there will be some type of a tuning in like I tune into your energy. You know this because we worked before, and kind of get some information and insight. We might do some journeys or healing together. And then we always have like follow-up conversation, and we come up with homework. So I kind of try to walk that through, and the people are like, okay, well, so like, can you kind of give this little very generalized what to expect type of a thing?
Yeah. So you would come in, well, you know, we'd have a phone call first just to make sure that I'm even a good fit. And then you'd come in and we would do our little spiel. And then the hypno portion of the show would be, we would do a interview. And there are no right or wrong answers, but all of your answers in this interview is our data with a soul, basically, that goes into the script. And so then, you know, there's at least for the initial, I'll just go over the initial one. For the initial one, there is what is the word that I'm blanking on? A trance, you know, you're in trance. And then we shift to the script where there'd be like a post-hypnotic suggestion in there, maybe not. And then there's the healing phase. And everything's recorded. And then you take that script home with you and listen to it.
And then you have follow-up sessions.
Yes. So a regression, though, is different than an initial hypnotherapy session. A regression is us basically going into your memories and changing them. Every time you access a memory, you change it a little bit, but changing them and everything that I just said for the initial session is also in the regression. It's just a lot more work, but then you have the healing phase and the wake up, and yeah.
So Sarah's back. Sarah's on now. She's just tuning in, and she also asked, "What sort of hypnosis therapy is this? Is it RTT? What's RTT? I don't know what RTT is."
I don't know what RTT is. And actually, to help you, Sarah, there is no name for the hypnotherapy that I use. It's a combination of different things. So the woman that was my teacher is the woman that is on the show Hoarders. She's a psychologist on the show Hoarders.
That is so funny. That's how you know Matt Paxton, my husband's partner, who's on that show. Because Matt Paxton was in, wait, aren't you not the one? Oh,
no.
My husband is on the TV show. This is so tangent. My husband in a TV show. His partner is Matt Paxton. There's a new TV show, but Matt Paxton was in Hoarder.
Okay.
So he's one of the people who help. Like they're the people who come and clean. And then you're working with a therapist who did the hypnotic. So that's your teacher. So that's really cool.
Yeah. So there is no name for what I think Ericksonian is a really popular hypnotherapy style, or hypnotherapy style. I don't practice it.
And it doesn't really matter, right?
It doesn't matter.
It's the experience and the healing result that people experience.
Right.
Sarah also has a question. Do you have any experience dealing with people with dissociative disorders? Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if she's asking if I would do hypnotherapy with those individuals. I'm not sure, but just to answer.
Or yeah, I mean, I'm sure you've worked with dissociative disorder because you're a therapist in general, but like,
right.
I think she's asking about hypnotherapy for dissociative disorders.
Right. So it's not recommended. Actually, it's not recommended to do hypnotherapy with any sort of personality disorders, just because the ego state is not where we want it to be. So we don't go there.
So then what do you recommend with people with dissociative disorder? Regular therapy?
I would say not hypnotherapy.
Come for regular therapy session.
Right. Come for regular therapy then. Yeah.
I see. I appreciate all the questions you're answering. So let me know if you have any more questions, you guys. I'm learning so much. I personally am interested in hypnotherapy for my resistance to eat better and exercise.
Mm-hmm.
Like I used to be a fitness and nutrition coach in my previous life. So like there's something that's not energetic, there's like this brain mindset that I feel like I could use help. So that's why I was asking. Let's answer these questions first. One issue I have with all these sort of therapies is when I'm prompted to share what I see or what I feel or what scene is coming up and there's nothing there. I always start to feel pressure and like it's not working. How do you deal with these situations?
Here, what I see and I feel.
So this is a very common thing, even the work I do.
Yeah, so she's asking, how do you deal with these situations when you're prompted to share what you see or feel?
And she doesn't think she sees anything, she feels anything, and she feels like, oh my God, she's like, I need to come up with something, but I don't see anything. This is common, isn't it?
Yeah, it's it definitely happens for sure. Yeah, that's tough. I would, if it was my client, I would definitely want to explore what the resistance is. If there's resistance, what does that feel like? And just sort of get a little bit more nuanced with that.
Mm-hmm. I feel like when you are with the right healer or someone who's holding the space for you, Sarah, then that person, like, your healer or your therapist or they should be able to help you through that block. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I think the most important thing is you be honest and share what you're feeling and what you're, it's because it happens with my work too. But when you are open and communicate, then you can navigate through this. This is not, you know what I mean? Like this is workable. Um, Personally, when I do journeys and different things, when people, and my work is completely different from, maybe there's a woo part of it, but when we do journey and people say like, I see nothing, I don't know. And I like to say, just relax, just make it up. If you get stuck, just pretend you're making it up and let's just see how it goes. And sometimes that kind of gives people permission to, oh, so you told me to just make it up, but I'll go. But some people might be like, what? What do you mean to make it up? Like, I'm paying you for this and you want me to make it up?
Well, and I also think that people are afraid when they're saying that they don't know what they're seeing. They may be afraid to share what they're seeing, or that it might be the wrong thing. I mean, we all have imaginations, and that's what you're seeing. You're seeing the inside of your mind, your creative mind. And so that's why this works really well with kids.
Yeah, kids, because they
Yeah.
could imagine.
They live
And
in your imagination
they just go
24/7,
with it.
basically.
Yeah, and they could just go with it. Yeah. Are there personality types that are better suited for hypnotherapy?
Mm, I would say as long as you don't have a personality disorder, not that this person does, but
What are some of personality disorders, like bipolar type of thing? What are some of the example when you say personality disorder?
yeah, so bipolar, narcissistic, um, schizophrenia. Those are just a few. Yeah.
I feel the same way, Sia. I'm just tired of any kind of restriction or exclusion after 19 years of eating for health issues. I think I'm resisting it because it takes me away from contact with my intuition flow. Who's this? Who's saying this? This is exactly what I feel. This is exactly how I feel. And I know it's not true. I like in my heart, I know there's something. Um, there was something that I'm not proud of the way I operated when I used to be fitness and nutrition person. I feel like there's some belief that I'm holding on to.
Yeah.
It feels like if I access that fitness and nutrition thing, somehow I'm gonna lose this magic or something. So there's something that I could use help in kind of shifting it. I could do it intuitively, but I've been feeling like, oh, maybe I should try hypnotherapy with Adina because she's here and she likes it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like a suggestion for you, we haven't really talked about suggestions or given an example of suggestion, but a suggestion for you, Sia, would be, now we would figure out like an anchor for you first. So like say your anchor is in your hammock reading Don't Be a Bitch, Be an Alpha. So then we would say, now visualize you in your hammock reading your book, this way you will thrive with eating on a healthy continuum kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you would listen to that script, that Postit suggestion would be inserted there every time you're thinking about your happy place. So.
Let me look at this. It's long, but it's a good point about helping you through. It gives me anxiety when I can feel the practitioner getting frustrated. You are with the wrong practitioner then. Find another one. Sorry. I actually really like the idea of making something up because that would be the opposite of my getting it right instinct. Oh, Adina, don't we all know about getting it right and
We do.
how to do it perfect or do it right? Like this is a common pressure that a lot of times we put ourselves through. What would you, anything to add, Adina, on this comment? Well, let me just,
I'm not sure which comment we're on here.
this one around, not this one, sorry. Oh yeah, this one. That you could just kind of make it up. Would that work in a hypnotherapy situation to just give yourself permission to kind of make it up?
Yeah, it's still you. I mean, it's still part of your subconscious mind. So, yeah.
That's what I think too, because we could make up like infinite numbers of scenario. and you chose to make up this particular thing, that means it means something, right? That then there's a significance to it. Like, why you just went with this?
Yeah.
So this is what we're meant to do by your subconscious mind. Um,
Yeah.
I've heard hypnotherapy is really good for the energetics around food. Tasha Hilderman might benefit from it too. Tasha is Sarah's sister, so Sarah's like,
Oh.
energetics around food. So like eating disorders. Because I know you work with a lot of
I
addiction.
work with a lot of eating disorder, and I use hypno for that. I love using hypno for all that stuff. I just love hypno, but
Yeah.
yeah, and I don't know if you want to talk about like meeting your future self, but I feel like CEO, you do a lot of that too in your work.
No, you talk about it. It's your place to talk about it. Yes, but it's visualization journey. Like that's just, I come from more shamanic point of view, and you're coming from more clinician point of view. But essentially, it's working with our minds, and I think it's kind of very similar and powerful.
Yeah, I love the future self stuff.
Mm-hmm. And I think there are a lot of like self-development books and that talk about the meet your future self. Like you can meet your future self anyway, but do you do that only in hypnotherapy, or do you just incorporate it in any therapy because you just use it?
I like doing it in hypnotherapy because, especially with the guys that I work with, their self-confidence is probably really low. There's a lot of shame. And so asking them, to make these big shifts in personality means that they have to make these big shifts in behavior and goals. And so they're creating a new identity, something that they've never created before. And so having like this, what would your wise self say to you right now? Or what would your future self say? What would your dead aunt that you loved and always had your back say to you right now is really helpful. And it's helpful to do it under hypnosis that way.
And then your active inner critic voice or whatever that's telling you, what the fuck are you talking about? This is not realistic. Like when you're in hypnosis, that's kind of that voice is probably quiet.
Yeah, it's probably not gone away, but it's definitely more quiet because you're just in a more relaxed space. You're more, you're in trance.
Awesome. So I feel like I asked any more questions, but is there anything else, Adina, you wanted to share? Or like maybe we could talk about, because I know you do your work, so you can help clients. I don't know how this licensure or anything work, but you can help clients all over the world through Zoom, and then you could meet clients in person in Richmond. Is that right? Can you tell me a little bit more on how you work with your clients?
Yeah. So you basically nailed it. I can work with anyone around the world via Zoom, and then individuals in that are local. I can meet with them in person. Right now, we're meeting outside, so be prepared to meet at a picnic bench if you do decide to try hypnotherapy. Yeah. So.
And oh shit, I was gonna ask you, hypnotherapy. I guess it's gonna come back to me. Zoom. Oh, don't you have the anger management class? Did registration already close? What happened? Like, I don't know. Can you tell us more? Do you have another class coming up?
Yes, I have an anger management group coming up on Tuesday, and it seems really pertinent to our current situation in which we find ourselves.
Tenure and all kinds of things happening right now.
So many things happening right now, and so that's happening Tuesday from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. and it's virtual, and it's for anybody that is struggling with communication with a loved one. And so, how to not get angry and not fly off the handle, how to own your anger and soften your partner's anger, how to win an argument. And those are just a couple things that we cover.
So it's not for someone who's like violently rageful. it's for people who kind of needing to learn some coping skills on how to manage their own emotions to like better communicate and kind of thrive type of thing, right?
Yes. I've definitely seen the spectrum of people that have been rageful to priests that want to learn how to get angry and everything in between.
In the same group class?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So I've seen a lot. And so, but you're right. I mean, this class is geared towards individuals learning how to manage their emotions, specifically work through difficult emotions, and how to communicate them effectively, and to get their needs met. So
Yeah. Did you, so you said registration is still open? People can
it's still
sign up?
open.
When does
People
it
can still
close?
sign up. It'll close Tuesday, the start of the class. Yeah.
Oh, cool. So maybe when this live is over, we'll add in this thread like how you can sign up for that program if you guys are interested.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's been 30 minutes and I feel really excited that I learned a lot. And I'm also excited that I feel very much alignment with the work I do and work you do. So if there aren't any more questions, we talked about your information. We'll definitely share how you can work with Adina if you're interested in experiencing it. Do we have anything to add?
I don't think so.
All right, awesome. Here's what I'm going to do as our parting gift. I'm going to pull a card for Adina.
Oh.
To thank her for spending time and her expertise with the sisterhood today. And then I'm going to pull a card for those of you, everybody who's watching collectively.
Oh, nice.
So this is for Adina. Adina, I pull Tiger Spirit. Inner courage, inner strength, knowing you are smart, strong, and as powerful, and like you are so much more than you give yourself credit for. So just be the tiger and do what you were meant to do. So it's just kind of message. Yeah, exactly. One of my favorite cards. Those are one of my favorite things to do to kind of like, come on, you can do it. Wow. But these now, I'm going to pull a card for those of you who are watching a replay of a healing happy hour. This is for all of us. Integrity. So this card is about following our own inner compass about what's in our own integrity. So it's not about being right or wrong or judging right or wrong or judging ourselves right or wrong, but it's more of, do you know yourself? How well do you know yourself? And can you authentically live this life based on what is true to you? What are these values and who you are and what's right to your soul and what's not right to your soul? And having to look into yourself in the mirror and be able to recognize a person deep into your soul, and also being proud of yourself when you're looking at yourself in the mirror. Or if you're living fully aligned to your authenticity and your authentic soul and your values, then when you look at yourself in the mirror, you're proud of, you like that person. So that's an encouragement message for you. If you need help getting to that place, because I know we don't always feel like that, we have healers like therapists, hypnotherapists, and regular therapists like Adina. You have shamans like me. There are anger management classes available. There's a webinars, there are books. There's so many things. There's so many things that can help you. So I hope you continue on your healing journey. So goodbye and say bye. Adina, any thank you or bye? And then we could finish.
Yeah, well, it's been fun. Thanks for inviting me to Healing Happy Hour. It's a great title, by the way. And hopefully people can catch it on the replay. I know it's Labor Day weekend, so people are probably on vacation right now.
People who are meant to see it will see it.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's our intention. So awesome. Thank you, everyone. Have a great weekend.
Bye.
Bye.